Composing Gloves here, and we hit 20,000 subs, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's an incredible milestone to hit. I really have just gotten a big confidence boost from hitting it for some reason. Like, I've just felt on top of the world. Happened yesterday, and I was like, no way. So I just really quick wanted to say thank you. I had to put on glasses. I couldn't believe the number I was seeing. So let's go ahead and hop into today's video. We are looking at Comeback Kid. It is a delay plugin, and Baby Audio, of course, following their reputation, has taken a plugin that, typically you think, oh, just delay, and made it just really convenient and put a lot of things together so you can actually turn the delay off and use it as a distortion unit, tape emulation, do a transient shaping deal. And in addition to that, you can also just process the delays alone and add all these effects to it. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example. I have sort of a left field example, I think, from what you would probably typically hear. But you'll see what I mean. See if you can spot all the Baby Audio delays where they've been used. There are 3 in particular. I want to see if you can get them all. So there it is. That's the track. Kind of different. You're probably going to see when other people review this, more of aggressive, more drums, hip hop, kind of that kind of stuff. Decided to sort of take it a different direction. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Now, the first and most obvious one, let's see if you got all 3. There is a Comeback Kid. There's one of those on the hi-hat. That's, I think, the most clear and obvious one. The second one is on the harp. Don't know if you caught that one. There's a harp in there. That's got some Comeback Kid going on. And it is also on the choir, actually. And this one's a lot more subtle. If you spotted this one, I'm impressed. I don't know if I would have spotted this one just because it is not like super apparent. So let's go ahead and just really quick give a quick rundown what this thing can do and why it's so dang cool. So of course, it's a delay plugin. Let's go ahead and just turn this top stuff off and move over here to the drums, and we'll also just center ourselves here. Okay, so basic rundown of controls, just so you don't have to go look. Coolest control on here is the friggin' color change. It blew me away when I found this. I was like, what? I don't know why it was so cool to me, but it's dang cool, and they both look super good. So there's that. Now, we have over here some transient shaping. A stereo section just changes differences in left-right channels to give you a stereo image. You've got some flavor stuff over here. So you got like distortions, tape emulation, and some pitch variation. And you also have your output. They've also really cool. They've added in this ducker and something to change up the delay times. Now, these things over here, these little switches, they look like on-off switches. And they even say off when you hover over them, so it kind of makes it confusing. But they are not on-off for the sections. Even though it really looks like they are, what they are is they underneath, they're labeled things. So they're actually those controls. So let's go ahead and just get some audio demos in here real quick. Just listen to the hi-hat. So this is the hat. And let's just start up here in the shaper section. So you're able to filter it. For example, we can do some low cut. And right now, this is only going to happen to the delay, to the delayed sound. We can do a high cut. We can boost the attack of the sound, so we can do some transient shaping. We can also bring the sustain down. Get more of a, in this case, more of a click. If you add like a kick drum or something though, this could be a really cool way to do some sound design. And if you, in fact, want to use it on just the regular hat, like what does this sound like without Comeback Kid on, you can, well, we could just turn it off with the DAW. But you can also keep the effects on, and if you double click the logo, it's like a secret setting. You double click it, it actually turns the delay off. There's no off button. Like, you have to know that it's the logo. And when you click that, you can take advantage of things like this. Or for example, we could boost the attack. Maybe that's too much. But you get the idea. So that's a really cool thing that they've given us the option for. And it's something that's now made me question every other plugin I have that doesn't give me the option to turn off like a core component like that. All right, so that's the shaper. Over here we got stereo, pretty standard stuff. Wider changes the delays in the left and the right. So we could, example, go very wide. Bring it back down. We have richer, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it does something with pitch variations of some sort in the left and right. And then we also have just a regular panning, and we can make stuff mono. Over here, we've got our main delay. You're able to change the time, and right now it snaps because we are on straight. And so we could get, right now we're doing straight 16ths. We could go like dotted. You do a triplet. And then, of course, if you don't want snapping, you go to free, and then you can get some of those classic delay sounds in there. It's really useful sound design stuff can happen in free. Feedback is basically how long the delay goes on for, and ping pong is just, it bounces back and forth between your ears. Very cool. Now, over here, we've got the flavor section. Some pretty cool stuff going on here. So first we have cheap. And what cheap does is it adds a noise floor. Well, it doesn't add noise floor. It's a bit reduction algorithm. And so it reduces the bits in your sound. That gives it a much more lo-fi feeling. And it also will introduce noise, which can be a good thing in certain contexts. So if you have like something that you want to add some lo-fi goodness to, you could switch the cheap option on. We have tape. This is just some tape emulation. We'll just pump this up so you can hear it. That's what it sounds like, especially in delays. You hear that really. Up next, we have swirl, which just does some wonderful phasing. If we bring this up, get some swirls going on. And then finally we have sauce, and we'll just dial this way up. It is a distortion basically, but it also is that reverb, that additional flutter stuff in the back that's actually from sauce. Take this off. That's what it would be without the sauce. So it also adds some reverb on the delays, which is a pretty interesting concept. It is a pretty fluttery reverb. You know what I mean? It sounds like flutter echo. So it does have a very specific flavor to it, but that's the essence of a good sauce. And then finally, let's go over to output. So output, pretty straightforward. We've got density. This varies up the timing of your delays, so it's a little more humanistic. We've got Ducker. This is a really nifty control. And what Ducker does is when you dial this up, it is going to duck the delay sound when the dry sound is playing. And so, right, we have these delays coming through, and when our hi-hat hits, it's going to duck the delayed hi-hats. So if we play this, if we take this off, you can hear it ring right through the delay. And this can be helpful if you have a sound that has a lot of sustain or is kind of blurry, because it gives the dry sound priority. It's a really convenient knob. And then finally, we've got a dry out and a wet out. So you see right now, it's 100% wet out. If we go ahead and dial up some dry out, I like the wet out more in this case, and that is basically what's going on here. Let's go ahead now and dive into some other cases. So that's the hi-hat. There are two other cases that this is being used on. The first one is the harp, which I believe comes in right around here-ish. Yeah, so right there. There's a good spot. Let's go ahead and solo. Nope. There we are. And we have some cool, just some nice echoes going on in the background. They're being filtered as we go. And tape is actually great for this, getting a sort of a duller sound. And I wanted this to be a more laid back thing, a little more atmospheric. And so tape was a good call. Went with the delay again. I kind of left these, I think where they were. I can't remember where they are by default. We can double click to find out. Oh, they're at 0 by default. So I dialed these up and pretty much just set my delay up. I mean, there's not a ton to it once you kind of know what everything does. It's just getting that flavor that you want. Let's go ahead and disable it. This is what it sounded like before. We've got that sauce dialed up too. Let's turn it on. Now you might wonder, because there's a couple notes in there that sound like they come forward a little bit more. There's actually a piano layered in there at different moments, and the textures meld really well together. And let's go ahead and go to the last one. It's on the choir. So you may have noticed I have this like choir thing over here. I've listened to this so much. Every time I hear it. And then when I come back and it's my first hearing, it's a lot more forgiving. But you know when you listen to something a million times and you're just not sure anymore? So, okay, we've got this choir moving down. It's actually a mixture of two choirs, and this is on one of the choirs. And it's got a very short delay, not an incredibly short delay. It's 1/32 note. And we've got cheap on, so there's actually some noise. If I actually, am I soloing this? No, it's solo it. And just listen to it when I stop playback specifically, you'll hear the noise on the tail end of it really obviously. See right there. You might need to be listening over headphones and turn it up a bit, but you can hear it. And once you know what that sound is, you actually hear it throughout the sound. Like it's there the whole time. And what's cool about that is in this case, it adds a layer of noise. And this is actually a pretty common technique in a lot of different styles of music, just to sort of fill space. If you ever walk into like a testing center at a school, usually they've got like noise machines to just, it's very relaxing, and actually makes it easier to focus. So anyways, that's what's going on there. And the other big idea with this guy was I wanted the smoothing of the transitions. So if I actually turn this off when we listen to it, the transitions are pretty precise. And in this case, I wanted them a little blurred. Let's just listen to it without it on. Now let's turn it on. So what's nice about this to me is the transitions are still clear, but they're not as like right where they are anymore. If I'm making any kind of sense to you. But anyways, that is Comeback Kid by Baby Audio. Extremely cool plugin, very versatile. I really love how they always think of just how can we make this a more convenient tool. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.